You're going to have to suffer through me today. I'm back on the podium after a couple years because Alita is feeling a little under the weather today. So I will lead the show for us. And I'm happy to commence our 5,694th meeting, the Rotary Club of Chicago. And I am told that our thought of the day will be led by Dr. Pancho Nunez. Pancho.
Good morning. I'm going to start this with an apology. I've never been good about talking extemporaneously, so I don't have a prepared speech. But I was going to talk about Rotary friendship. We all have Rotary friends. We really are indebted to many of our friends. Last week I was in Mexico City and I met Wes and Betsy. Betsy has something against the laws of gravity, and she fell and injured herself, but she's okay. And not only gravity, but also inertia, because when she was in a recent trip in Italy, she collided with a motorcycle. Anyway, so I hope she's okay. And talking about Rotary friendships. I went to the funeral of my brother last Monday, and a very unexpected and an early death at 68, I thought. And I met a friend of my brother who happened to be a friend of my father, chronic Rotarians. So he and his father and my father founded a club in Mexico, or we're one of the beginners, so Club Tacubayas. So this is to Rotary friendship.
Thank you, Pancho. Okay, before I introduce our speaker here today, as always, we will try to get everybody's questions when she's finished presenting to us, and also be getting questions from folks on Zoom. We try to be respectful of everybody's time. We'll pass around the mic, as always, for the folks in the room so people on Zoom can hear you as well. So Carol Sharp became president and CEO of the Night Ministry fairly recently, taking over on August 14th, 2023. Now, as some of you may remember, we had the prior president and presidents speak to this club, and also engaged in service projects with the Night Ministry, including working with them to disseminate hygiene kits for the homeless during the pandemic. Now, before joining the Night Ministry, Carol held leadership positions at Youth Guidance, Girls Inc. of Chicago, and Perspectives Charter Schools. She has served as Senior Director of College Counseling and Community Partnerships at the Chicago Scholars Foundation, where she played an integral role in facilitating educator and youth development programs and leading a collaborative of attuned organizations striving to improve graduation rates for first-generation college students. Under her leadership at these organizations, she has played a pivotal role in shaping organizational operations, cultivating donors and partnerships, and championing the design and implementation of comprehensive program strategies that have supported youth in healthy living, academic achievement, and life skills development. She remains an active member of the American Society of Public Administration and has previously served as past president of the Chicago chapter. Carol holds a Master of Public Administration and Nonprofit Mission-Driven Management from the Illinois Institute of Technology and a Bachelor of Arts from American InterContinental University. Please welcome Carol Sharp.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, everyone. I appreciate the invitation to come out and speak with you this afternoon. My name is Carol Sharp, and I am the president and CEO at the Night Ministry. And I want to talk to you a little bit this afternoon about the Night Ministry and the great work that we do here in Chicago. There we go. The Night Ministry is a Chicago-based nonprofit organization, and we provide human connection, housing, and healthcare to young adults as well as adults through multiple programs. We are advocating for their immediate physical, emotional, and social needs while affirming our shared humanity. Last year, we served over 5,000 individuals. Before I dive into a little bit more about the night ministry and our services, I want to spend a few minutes just talking about the state of homelessness in Chicago. And so this last year, we know that there are over 68,000 individuals who could be considered homeless. And that includes those who are living on the streets, potentially in tents or encampments, those who are doubled up, so living in communities or apartments or homes with family members or friends, or in some cases, even strangers, and those who might be at risk of being homeless, right? So when we think about the definition of homelessness, it encompasses all of these areas. Over 11,000 of these individuals are young people ages under 24. And so one of the things that the night ministry does is we are providing programming to young people who are under the age of 24 to ensure that we can place them in stable living situations. But over nearly 8,000 people are living on the street or in a shelter. And I want to take a minute to pause because I think it's important not only to understand homelessness in Chicago, but to equally understand the impact of organizations like the night ministry and the way that it could be beneficial to our young people and their future. While I'm standing here with you today, I am also originally from Chicago, born and raised, but I also experienced housing insecurity as a young person navigating the city between a foster home in the Inglewood neighborhood and with my biological mom who lived in Rogers Park neighborhood many years ago. And so what I learned is that through active engagement with and access to resources, that we could change and really shift the trajectory of our young people across Chicago. I'm the first person in my family to go on to earn a college degree, and that's first person in my family to maintain a career. And without the services and the support of individuals like those in this room today and on our call, I would not be here. And so I do want to pause and acknowledge you for the great work that you do and give yourselves a round of applause for the great work that you do, because it really is impactful. So the night ministry was founded nearly 50 years ago in 1976 by Reverend Tom Behrens. It began with Reverend Tom Behrens going on the street, and he noticed a need. There were young people who were hanging out in parking lots, near encampments, and they needed access to basic survival supplies. So we were talking about clothing, shoes, food. Over the years, we learned that there's even more of an opportunity to deepen our impact by providing healthcare services, case management, and life skill development programs. Our mission overall is to provide that human connection, housing, and healthcare support. We are delivering direct service to clients through two different pillars of programming. Our youth programs that exist in the Bucktown neighborhood, as well as our outreach health ministry that consists of our health outreach bus, our street medicine, and our CTA outreach. We believe in a multidisciplinary approach. And so what that means is each of our programmings consists of nurse practitioners and volunteer medical professionals who join us on a daily basis to deliver our clients with wound care as well as basic medical care. So they might provide asthma pumps, or they might stitch up small wounds and things like that on the streets every day. We provide case management support. So we know there are a number of our clients who don't have IDs or might need a social security number. We are meeting with them, helping them to complete the documentation, and we are providing them with an address so that they can come and collect their mail. And then we have outreach professionals as well as substance use advocates. And so our outreach health bus currently is in four neighborhoods, including encampments. And so we go to each of these stops, Garfield Park, South Shore, Pilsen, and New City, as well as the encampments. And we are providing nurses services, the HIV testing and STI testing. We are providing COVID testing and vaccinations, that case management, as well as spiritual support. So to clarify, the night ministry is not affiliated with any congregation or religious entity, but we are founded by the ministry. We are founded by a number of congregations, and so we maintain that language and we deliver that support through the spiritual care and providing them with that human connection, or deepening that human connection. Our street medicine team is providing wound care as well as the harm reduction supplies. So what you see here is our nurse practitioners who are on the street delivering the wound care. You see them collecting information so that our unhoused neighbors are able to access IDs and social security cards and all other information in order for them to get access to additional resources through public funding. We are distributing survival supplies as well as the harm reduction supplies, ID cards, and winter clothing. So this just this past season, we hosted what's called our holiday celebration, and it's where we receive hundreds of thousands of donations from organizations like the Rotary Club, and we are packaging them and we are going out into the various communities and handing them out to our clients and individuals who are experiencing housing insecurity. 2 nights per week, we are at both the Red Line and the Blue Line station. So at the Red Line, we're at the Howard stop, and on the Blue Line, we're at the Forest Park stop, and we are providing food, hygiene kits, and potentially transportation to those who might need it. In this effort, we are seeing over thousands of individuals who are impacted by homelessness who are using the CTA as shelter. We noticed that there was an increase in the use of the CTA as shelter during the quarantine. And so we initiated this program, and we've since carried it on because we recognize there's still a continuous need. I think I might have lost my presentation connection here. Here we go. And so here's our impact. Our health outreach impact, we have had over 50,000 outreach contacts. And so what that means is the number of contacts to our actual bus and to our CTA program that might include individuals who come multiple times, because we have seen around 1,000 individuals at these particular stops. Our nurse practitioners and volunteer physicians prevented over 500 visits to the ER, saving the public health system nearly $330,000. And the way that's calculated is that we ask our clients, we say, if you were not able to get these services from the night ministry, where would you go? And they have said they would go to the emergency room for basic wound care. Over 2,400 free health assessments have been provided by our nurse practitioners at the health outreach bus, and over 1,200 conditions were treated that would have otherwise gone untreated. We've had over 120 overdoses that are reversed. So part of our harm reduction program is that we are not only providing the necessary supplies and education and support, but we have substance use case managers or specialists who are working with individuals who want to enter into recovery, and we are walking them through the process. Our youth programs range from overnight shelters to long-term residential programs. We are also providing that multidisciplinary approach, so it includes the case management, and those programs include the crib, interim support, parenting with purpose, pathways, and our flexible housing pool. And so our services for youth are 24/7. It's residential support. We have shelters located in the Bucktown neighborhood, the Westtown neighborhood, and North Lawndale. And then we are also, we've entered into the flexible housing pool where we have placed over 95 clients into stable housing. So they've gotten their own apartments and they've been there now for at least a year. So we're seeing long-term impacts of placing our young people into stable housing. The crib is our overnight shelter for ages 18 to 24. It's our shelter that's located in the Bucktown neighborhood. And at that shelter, we are providing connections to employment, education, mental health, and other resources. We are also providing transition and aftercare support, as well as social and cultural activities. On a nightly basis, we might see different clients, but in a lot of instances, we see the same clients that come back because they know that we are reliable. and they know that they will get the necessary support to move them forward towards a stable housing situation. Our interim housing is a short-term shelter for up to 120 days for youth ages 14 to 21. In addition to the residential support that we're providing them, we are also providing the basic medical and mental health care. And I will add, for our mental health care services, we're certainly seeing an increase in the last few years around the need to provide mental health support to our unhoused neighbors. And so we are working not only with partnerships, but internally to ensure that we have the necessary resources and leadership to move the needle around mental health for our communities. And whether this be that they are connected to a physician to get access to the necessary behavioral health support that they need, or if they're engaging in group counseling in alignment with other intersectionalities that might be causing or triggering the mental health needs that they require. Our Parenting with Purpose program is for parenting and pregnant mothers with children for up to age 2 years of old, the children, and the parents that are ages 16 to 21. Here is a photo of what one of the rooms looks like. We are providing them with a secure, safe space where they could nurture their children as they work to figure out how they're going to come up with a stable housing plan. We're also providing them with independent living skills curriculum so that once they do enter into those stable housing environments, they're able to maintain, understanding things like how to build relationships with landlords, how to utilize your resources, how to create a plan for your healthcare needs for both yourself and your children. So we're providing them with those actionable tools that they can use that can serve them long term when they move into stable environments. Our Pathways program is up to 2 years for youth ages 18 to 24. We are providing supplies, including food, hygiene items, transportations, ID cards, clothing, and personal items. And so similarly, we are creating a space. In this particular space, it's located in the North Lawndale neighborhood. It is a 2-flat that has been remodeled to fit eight of our clients. And so they have an opportunity to have their own private rooms, and then they have a shared living space, living room, dining room, as well as a shared kitchen. So in this instance, they are learning about what it means to live in sort of a communal environment. They're also learning about things like how to make basic recipes and how to prepare a budget for if you need to go to the grocery store, and they're able to lean on their peers as they navigate through some of the challenges that they're facing, not only now, but what they might face into the future. In our Pathways program, I recently visited, and our supervisor there talked a lot about a young person who had transitioned to a college dorm. So they stayed in our Pathways program for a few years and then transitioned to Loyola University, where they will be able to go on to earn a post-secondary education. And so I say that to say that the power of partnership is truly meaningful to our impact and our ability to be able to nurture our young people into adulthood. Our flexible housing pool is housing support for, it says 75, but we're actually at 95 now, young people in subsidized apartments. And so we are providing them with rent for up to a full year. We're giving them access to the life skill development. We have a case manager that comes out to their apartments and helps them to set up their apartment in a way that allows them to be successful, getting them connected to employment opportunities and education, and really just having a conversation about the challenges that they face and what they can anticipate in the future as young people who are in their first new apartment. Our Youth for Truth program is one of our client leadership programs. So all of our work, in order for us to be mission-centered, we have to have a client voice. And so what this does is allows us to have that client voice from our young people. So they are meeting on a monthly or bi-monthly basis. They are providing feedback about the services that they are receiving. They're sharing information with us about what's happening in their communities and ways in which we can be more supportive of them. And they're advocating for policies that allow us to continue to receive funding so that we can then provide it to them in support of their continued growth. So our housing impact, we have work with over 180 unhoused and young people to secure permanent or stable housing. There's an estimated over 1,200 young people experiencing housing instability who are unsheltered or staying in the shelters, and we have access to each of them. We have 7, and we know that 7 in 10 homeless young youth are experiencing mental health challenges, and I talked a little bit about the ways in which we've worked in that way. And then these are just a couple of other of points to note, that we are providing housing for nearly 500 young people, one third of the above, right, who are estimated in experiencing housing instability, and to 51 of their children. So that's with that Parenting with Purpose program. And so, like many like-minded organizations, the Night Ministry is navigating the arrival of our migrant communities. And what we've learned is that in order for us to truly be a partner with the city, it is our best effort to remain nimble, and that's what we've done. When we saw that there were a number of unhoused neighbors who were being housed outside of the police station, we worked with the individual departments and showed up with our bus to provide basic medical support as well as to provide food. We are seeing some new challenges, though. We know that with the increase of unhoused in our unhoused community, that we have to be innovative in our approach and be open to partnership. And so we are certainly following the guidelines of the city and waiting for their plan and being prepared to show up in the meantime and once we've established a more formal relationship. But since July 1st, we have treated over 700 conditions that would have went untreated in these communities. And of the emergency room visits that we've prevented, 33 of them were from the migrant communities. I think it's important to note when I think about our ability to remain nimble during the quarantine, when many organizations and companies and families were really forced to go inside, right, and to quarantine, the Night Ministry stepped up and stepped out. And so we were out in communities night and day, ensuring that our unhoused individuals had access to basic survival supplies, and we will continue that work. And so with that being said, I want to say again, thank you for inviting me to come out and speak with you this afternoon. If you would like to learn more about opportunities to connect with us, the information is there on the screen. Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. So we'll start with questions here in the room. And then for folks on Zoom, if you do have a question, put it in the chat box and we'll get to you in just a moment. So anybody in the room with a question for Carol? Looks like we got one over there.
Thank you so much for coming to speak. Big fan of the Night Ministry. Hopefully people on Zoom, but thank you for what you do. Was involved with a nonprofit where we would fundraise for local nonprofits, but Night Ministry every year came as one of the ones we always wanted to work with because of all the important action that you guys actually do on the streets and in people's lives. So can you talk a little bit more about with the migrant crisis, because you talked about a little bit at the end, and just with COVID and the increase in homelessness, where the demand has increased over the last couple of years with you and how that's impacted your organization just with the increased demand?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. And so the increase in demand really came before the most recent migrant crisis, right? Because we know that the impacts of the quarantine had a larger economical impact. And so there were a number of individuals who perhaps were not in unstable housing situations as a result of the quarantine because they could not pay rent, or those that were in the doubled up situations then moved to being unhoused on the streets. We saw a growth in the number of individuals that we were serving within a year. The migrant crisis adding an additional up to 900 individuals who we served within a matter of months. And so we are certainly, we are challenged to think of innovative ways to utilize the resources that we have, with the hope and understanding that there will be more resources that will become available in the near future.
I got a question. Sorry, that's okay. Thank you again for everything that you do. And I saw the overwhelming statistics around mental health. And what would you say to the leadership in the state, in the city, in regards to the resources that you're able to, or either do you have enough resources, and what would you say to the leadership around the mental health crisis?
Yeah, there's certainly power in partnership. And so in order for us, we are really one organization among a number of organizations that are doing this great work. And we are all in need of additional resources, particularly around mental health. I think the investment in mental health is not only siloed to our unhoused communities, but we recognize the impact of the quarantine. We recognize the impact of the post-quarantine world. And so in order for us to be able to have any movement in this space, we certainly need to partner not only with our healthcare institutions, but with organizations who do the work, who are considered subject matter experts, and really mobilize to ensure that we're bringing the resources to those in need. Be open-minded to what the impacts of a group support versus individual support can bring to the future of the landscape, right? So I think oftentimes when we think about mental health, we think about it from an individual basis, but I think that there's power in us really considering how working with groups and looking at some of the intersectionalities that they all might have in common and bringing those resources to them can certainly lead, at least move the needle, right, around the mental health that's needed across our city.
Do you feel there's enough resources, though?
Well, I think the short answer to that is no, because it's one of those living elements, right? So we know that the triggers of mental health can come in different ways. And so today we have a certain number of people who are living with or impacted by mental health needs, and that could change in any moment because it can be triggered, right? And so I think the short answer to that is no. We certainly need a long-term plan, but for right now, the more that we can utilize our subject matter experts, rely on the power of partnership, then at least we can make some progress.
Okay, well, thank you for asking that question. We hear on the radio and we see on TV that a lot of migrants are coming, and it's thousands and thousands of them. I understand that your guests can be there temporarily, right? But would you know where these people, once they leave, the services you offer, where do they go and live?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I want to clarify. So the night ministry, we serve any of our neighbors who comes to the bus, right? And so we're not necessarily asking them if they identify as an individual from a migrant community. Because while we have had a number of new neighbors who have joined us in the last couple of months, we know that there's been a number of individuals who have been part of the unhoused communities who are migrants, right? And so to answer your question, it depends on the ways in which they connect to our organization. If they come to the bus, it's intended to be sort of that short-term access to resources. And if they choose to utilize our case management support to move into longer term, then we would work with them. But in our youth programs, we haven't seen many migrant communities members of migrant communities to join those youth programs. So it's really been in our outreach health ministry. Mm-hmm.
Hello, and thank you for coming today. I'm asking with the question of more on how to volunteer. As I volunteered in the past for night ministries through my Masonic Lodge, Hesperia 411, where we've cooked meals and delivered meals, mostly picking the winter months. So how can people get involved and really assist the night ministries?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for volunteering previously. And so we still have our serve and learns where we invite groups to come in to learn more about the work that we're doing, to get the most current information about how we're delivering services to our unhoused communities. And they have an opportunity to prepare meals that go out that same night to our clients on the bus or in our youth programs. We also have a commercial kitchen where we invite groups to come in and make warm meals for the crib. And we typically do that on Fridays, but you certainly can contact us and we'll arrange an opportunity to take place on a day that's not a Friday. And we have a number of volunteer opportunities in our outreach health ministry. And so if you know someone who's a physician who would like to get involved, or a nurse practitioner, we welcome them to come and join us on our routes. And then certainly we are always looking for partnership opportunities. And so examples of that is in our youth programs, we know that financial literacy is key in order for someone to be able to move into a stable housing environment and to stay there. And so certainly we're looking to partner with financial institutions to learn about the literacy programs, to get our young people connected to bank accounts so that when they earn an income, they can then have a place for their money to go. So that's a few of the ways to get engaged.
Yeah, I echo, thank you for the work that you're doing. So many people just out there doing the work all over the city. So, but speaking of partnerships, I'm assuming that you have a partnership with Chicago Public Schools. I've worked with other school districts that have an unhoused or homeless department, and I'm hoping that they have that and have connections that you're able to work closely with them.
Yeah, our strategic partnerships team has a connection to Chicago Public Schools. And so we will oftentimes go to their events and share a little bit more about our services. We will sometimes receive referrals. What we like to avoid and certainly to maintain the dignity and the confidentiality of our clients is that sort of direct connection, right? And so if we go out to a Chicago Public School and we learn of someone who might have an impact or being impacted by housing insecurity, we won't necessarily reach out to them, but we will work with the institution to get them to connect with us.
I'm just gonna hop in here real fast and see, is there anybody on Zoom who has a question for Carol? I'm not seeing anything in the chat box. Okay, nothing in the chat box. I mean, anybody who has a question, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask the question. I'll give you 5 seconds. All right, your 5 seconds are up. Okay, well, let me, before you leave the podium, Carol, and by the way, we appreciate that. We know that you guys step up and step out. That's why we partnered with you during the pandemic, and hopefully, per Robert's question, we'll find other ways to do that in the future with you. We want to share with you a little Rotary mug, and I believe, do we have the cookies or just the?
They get mailed out.
Okay, they'll be coming out. All right, so we've got Al's cookie mix. And was that you, Alita?
Yes, it was.
Do you want to give your spiel? You're better at it than I am. Tell Carol about Al's cookie mix.
So we have partnered with Al's Cookie Mix. Alvin Green started a cookie company for his son and his autistic friends. He was just recently featured on Channel 7, but a cookie company so his autistic son and friends would have jobs once they aged out of the Chicago public school system. And we're supporting them this year. So please enjoy.
All right. How about another round of applause for Carol? Thank you so much. Yeah, you bet. Thank you so much. And we hope you're feeling better, Alita. So let's introduce our guests here today. Olga, we're going to save you for the end because we're going to have you come up and talk about this project. But are there any other international Rotarians here with us today? Oh, looks like we've got a guest right over here.
Good afternoon. My name is Rosemary Namboze. I'm the Hope Creator President for the Rotary Club of Wakiso in Uganda, District 913. I'm glad to be here.
Welcome.
Yeah, I run a charity for children with intellectual disability called Angel Center for Children with Special Needs. I started it as a result of giving birth to our second born who was born with Down syndrome. So since then, it has been a journey to help me grow into a service provider and reaching out to our communities. And last year, Rotary recognized me as a People of Action, the Global Awards, and I received an award under the educators of children with disabilities. So I'm glad to make this international connection, and thank you for coming me here.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other international guests in the room? Any international guests on Zoom? Any visiting US Rotarians in the room? Any US Rotarians on Zoom? Any other guests?
Yeah.
Oh, over here we got a guest. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Steve Thomas, and thank you for the welcome. I recently authored a book, and so my friend David Hirsch here invited me and want to share a little bit about that. So it's a book about marriage and about a guy in the military who fights for marriage. And so that's my story. I'm sticking by it.
Thank you so much for visiting us today. Any other guests on Zoom? Go ahead and unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
I'm Jill Brickman. I'm a visiting Rotarian from Glenview Sunrise, so right nearby.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for an interesting program.
I had nothing to do with it. It was all Carol. And so then we do have a special guest here from Ukraine as well. I'd like to bring her up to the podium. Marga, you're welcome to come up as well. Olga Steblyanko, I hope I pronounced that at least somewhat closely. And she's going to speak a little bit about a joint service project that we've been working on. So the microphone is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone again. First of all, I would like to thank you for invitation to your club meeting. I'm happy to be here, and it's my pleasure to be here today and to have opportunity to share some information about Rotary activity in Ukraine. My name is Olga. I'm past president of the Rotary E-Club of Ukraine, and our club united our members from different cities of Ukraine and also from different countries of all over the world. And it gives us the opportunity to make many different projects in our different regions of Ukraine. For now, our main direction of activity, we have few main direction of activity. It's mental health programs. It's we also work with internally displaced people inside Ukraine. We provide medical supplies and medical equipment for hospital which close to frontline territory, and for territories which affected from the military actions. We provided humanitarian demining. Also, we rebuilding schools, kindergartens, hospitals on that territory, and also we help our local farmers to resume their business activity on these territories after that they were liberated. And your club was participated in one of this project last summer. It was medical help. It was medical help for military hospital and evacuation points, tactical folder stretchers and evacuation slings. It's very important things on the frontline territories, and it helped us to save lives of our Ukrainian people, to make the evacuation process more faster. I would like to thank you for your participation, for your support of Ukraine, and it's your support as a support of other districts, other Rotary clubs all over the world. It helps us not only to save, to stay strong now, it's help us to show our community, our local community, what is the power of Rotary. And it also, as a result, helped us to grow our membership more than 40% during these 2 years, these last years. And I have a special gift for your club because you involved to the situation of with full invasion, with war in Ukraine, and it's my proud to give it to your club because it's the flag of my country. It's a flag of, oh sorry, it's mark here. It's a flag of brave Ukraine, and our club would like that you keep it here in your club. So,
thank you very much.
Thank you. And I also have banner, maybe later we can exchange.
We'll take a photo.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Olga. Thanks again. One more round of applause. Thank you for visiting us today, and thank you very much for the flag.
It is not the e-club that grew a 40%, maybe it did, but it was the membership in all of Ukraine increased by at least 300-400 members?
500 members.
So since the war started, Ukraine has 500 new Rotarians that are involved. So yes, and well, our club also has worked with the disaster assistance grants. Our district, I have to say, because they were, as you know, district are organized, right? And we sent supplies also in the beginning of the war, like blood clotting gauzes and all this, whatever tourniquets that they still need a lot. But so thank you for being here with us.
Yeah.
Can I add something? Thank you so much. Yeah, Margarita, thank you that you add this important information, and maybe I was not clear, but I'm really proud of this result because I'm membership committee chair in our district. So I just say it to you and didn't say that it's a result of district growing, membership growing. And I thought that I have only 5 minutes to have a short, briefly speech today. So I just would like to add that we have so many examples of participating in a project. We can speak a few hours about what has been done during these 2 years. So if you have some question or in the future, we are open to continue our discussion about this great Rotary common work all over the world and also with your club. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olga. All right, I think Eric, we're on to the events, the upcoming events. Oh, there we go. Okay, you're not running that. Okay, excellent. So we have Job One, of course, one of our signature programs, and this is something, Carol, that it's good for you to be aware of as well. This is something we've done now for over 20 years, where we match high school students in the city of Chicago with internship opportunities, paid internship opportunities, after we put them through rigorous job skills training to really prepare them for their first real job and working in a professional environment. And we do often team up with nonprofit organizations as well. And we support that through subsidies to support regular weekly salary there. So student applications for that are due March 15th. That's very soon, isn't it? So if you know any students who might want to apply, make sure you shake the tree a little bit on that one. And while it's not listed in my notes, I can guarantee Alita would want me to say that we can always use more employers. So if you know somebody who might be willing to support an intern in their organization, or to support an intern, say at Carol's organization, through a subsidy, then please do let somebody know. Let me know. Let Robert know. Let Alita know, and we'll make sure that that happens. So then we've got. Oh, I've got the clicker. I see. Oh my goodness. Well, there we go. Well, that's the wrong direction though. There we go. Oh, it's the wrong direction because I had it reversed 180 degrees. Okay, that might be it. So, yeah, as you can tell, I haven't done this in a few years, right? So Chicago Woman of the Year, another great annual event. We want it to be a great annual event this year as well. So the first and easy thing is make sure you sign up to actually attend the event in May. Yeah, we do have a date. It is May 21st, maybe? What's that? Oh, really? Because I think it's on the calendar. Oh, okay. Well, then I probably ought to know that because I'm filling up other dates on the calendar with other meetings. So I will work on that. But in the meantime, then, please nominate potential honorees. There is information in the gyrator via email that came out. I think there was a text that came out. You can either email information to the office, or there's also an online form. It's pretty simple. I just submitted somebody myself a few days ago. Pretty easy to do. And then we also have a few other things. There's Rotary Means Business, first Monday of every month. April 1st is the next event. And where, you might know this, Marshall, where is it at? It's at Timo's office. Okay. Okay, so that's right down here in the loop. Great office. Great office, good location. It'll be a fun time. Oh, Cafe Chow. It's at Cafe Chow in the West Loop. Thanks, Alita. Then we have our CPS opportunity grants. Applications for those are due April 9th. Those generally come in from educators, so from teachers, more or less, within the CPS system. So if you know teachers who might be interested in having a little extra money for an interesting project to support their students, make sure you let them know about this. It is, I don't know how many applications have come in the last time, but I know the first few times we did this, you had pretty good odds of winning a grant based on the amount of money available and the number of applications that came in. So that's another thing to shake the tree on. Alita always has opportunities for folks to get involved every Wednesday afternoon or evening at the Cornerstone Center to serve meals in a soup kitchen on North Wells Street. So that's another easy way to get engaged. We have the dictionary project. Wes is not here to tell you all about it, but I think you probably know the spiel by now. We go out to schools, we give dictionaries, often the first actual physical book sometimes that some of these third graders have had. And always we need people to go and actually bring them into the classroom. So please reach out to Wes Westerfield if you need any more information there. We always take donations both to the Rotary Club Foundation and Rotary International Foundation. If you do donate to the Rotary Foundation, Rotary International, make sure that the club is credited for the donation. And then finally, this and a lot of other information is in the gyrator, which again, you should have gotten by email, but for other folks and our visitors, there is a QR code on the table, and that's where you can see our newsletter. Variety of committee meetings coming up. If you are not engaged with the committee, I encourage you to do so. We've got PR, marketing, DEI, job one. We've talked about community service. They're responsible for the CPS grants we talked about. Membership committee, we'll hope they can do as well as you, Olga, and international service. No pressure. In international service to do the kinds of projects that Olga and Marga were talking about, for example. Oh, okay. So there's one tomorrow. Okay, excellent, excellent. And you and Shada still chair that, right, Marga?
Yeah, but we have new people coming in on board.
Okay, good. Fresh blood, that's important. That's important. So there's also a couple of other ways that you can engage. We have our usual Friday roundtable, very casual, informal lunch. Whoever shows up, shows up. Here at the Union League Club, there's usually a few reliable attendees. I see Ted sitting over there, so you can always have a nice lunch and beverage with Ted on a Friday. And Richard Grow usually as well. Club assembly meeting on March 19th. That's where we go into a lot more detail on all of these wonderful projects that we're talking about. It's a good way to learn about what's going on in the club. Then we have a mental health awareness panel on March 26th. That should be very interesting. I mean, particularly in light of the kind of conversation we were having here today. And then already mentioned Rotary Means Business at Cafe Chow, as we now know. There is also a panel for International Women's Month. This is with, looks like the Rotary Club of Six Corners, as well as the University of Chicago. That's at 350 West Erie Street on Saturday, March 16th. I see a QR code here, so I'm assuming that same QR code is probably in the gyrator as well to be able to sign up for that. And then we've got the district conference on April 20th. And that's, it looks like a joint district conference between 6440 and 6450 up in Evanston at Rotary World Headquarters. So, Marga, anything worth saying on that, or?
Not that I know of.
Okay, just be there. Just be there. That's what we have to say on that.
Well, it's a really great opportunity to meet other Rotarians from our district and other districts as well, because locally both districts can do projects together, and they should as well. So it's really great. So it's
Excellent.
A one-day event.
Okay, so Marga said it's a one-day event and a great way for people from both districts to find ways to work together on projects. So be there. And so, assuming I have not missed anything here, you've got 2 seconds to tell me if I did. Okay, not hearing anything. That means I did hopefully not miss anything. It is time for everybody to stand and do the four-way test. David Hirsch, since I haven't seen you in such a long time, would you be willing to give me the honor of coming up here and reciting the four-way tests for the group? So it's not just me speaking all day. David is asking why there are little piggy banks on our tables. That is to collect donations. And normally, I don't know, Alita, what are the donations for today?
Well, I guess today they'll go to the night ministry.
There we go. So any money you put in the piggy banks, Carol's taken home with her to the night ministry. So very good. All right. So the four-way test, David.
Number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And of course, is it fun? Add in there.
The fifth test.
The fifth, exactly. So with that, meeting adjourned.
Well done. A little rusty.
Thank you.
But,
A little rusty, yeah.
very comprehensive.
Thank you. I haven't done too many in person, David.